Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're dealing with a bad tenant and you're looking to evict them. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and share my top tips and tricks on how to properly evict a bad tenant. Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Kwak, one of the Kwak brothers here, real estate investor, and chances are you're looking to evict a bad tenant, right? They haven't paid their rent, they're not following the rules, and they just outright became a bad tenant. So in this video, I'm gonna go and share my top tips and tricks on how to evict a really bad tenant. And before we do, go ahead and hit the bell icon to get notified in our future video, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get more videos on real estate investing. Throughout this video, I'm gonna give you tips and tricks in the context of the tenants not paying their rent or they're heavily behind their rent. So one of the first things that we do is we serve a 5-day notice. For us here in Illinois, I know there are certain states that only require 3-day notice. Some states require 10-day notice. So be sure to read your Landlord Tenant Act. Different cities have their own version of the Landlord Tenant Act. So be sure you study that because a lot of times your Landlord Tenant Act is going to dictate how the eviction process should go, what rights that the tenants have, what rights the landlords have. So in Illinois, where I live, we have to give them what's called a 5-day notice, and we have to serve it or post it on their door. Now, when we serve, the 5-day notice typically has a perforated edges down below. It's a receipt letting ourselves know that we served the 5-day notice, as well as it serves as an evidence to the court that we have served them a 5-day pay or quit notice. Now, we can also post it on their door, same process, letting them know that they have 5 days to pay their rent or they're gonna be at risk of an eviction. So after we serve them the 5-day notice, within the 5 days, we're calling them, texting them, emailing them, letting them know that we did serve the 5-day notice and that they have to pay. We're reminding them, and we're giving them a lot of chance and a lot of opportunities to pay. So even throughout the 5-day notice period or 10-day notice period, 3-day notice period, depending on your state, we're still communicating with them to giving them some chance and opportunity to pay their rent. Now, of course, if they don't, then this is where we go in and call in the legal professional, an attorney preferably, and we give the attorney the copy of the lease that the tenant have signed, and of course the fee for the attorney to start the eviction process. Now, typically the fee can go anywhere between $500 to $1,000. Our attorney charges $800 to $900, depending on the tenant and the unit. So expect to pay for it, pay the $500,000 fee. I will share another tip and trick where an eviction may not get involved, where the process may be even more smoother and more easier to deal with. So after you send a copy of the lease to your attorney, as well as the fee required to start the eviction, you want to follow up with your attorney every week to make sure that the eviction process is going well. So what you're looking for is that the eviction has been filed with the court. What you're also looking for is a court date, because that's the date where the eviction process will actually be heard by the judge. And after the court date, you want to hear a possession date. That's a date when you actually seize and possess the property back over to you. Now, of course, the tenants don't move in. You have the service of a county sheriff, where the county sheriff is going to go in and supervise you moving unfortunately, the tenant stuff out of the property on the curve. And this is probably the most saddest thing to hear and see, to see all the personal belongings and property of the tenants being moved out to the curve side, mainly because they haven't paid their rent. So it's sad to see that happen, but this is a business. We have to make money in this business, and we have to be fair, and we have to adhere to our own policy and rules. So a lot of times you're gonna have a sheriff supervise just in case there can be a potential threat or violence. So you're gonna have a sheriff supervise you moving their personal stuff out. You can also hire people to help you move the personal stuff out of the tenants, out of the unit. So that's usually how the eviction process goes. Now, a couple things that you can and cannot do during an eviction is when the eviction has been filed, do not accept partial payments. The moment you accept payment from the tenant, the eviction process gets canceled. So do not cash in that check, and if you're using an online software, make sure you turn off the feature where they can pay. So make sure you do not accept any payments from the tenant, because the moment you do, the eviction process gets canceled. Another thing is, don't harass the tenants, because the moment you start harassing the tenants, you're also giving the tenants evidence as to how they can beat you at the eviction court. So Do not harass the tenants. Don't change the locks. Don't rekey the door on their property. And don't remove the door off the hinges, okay? I know that's the old-fashioned way. And don't turn off the utilities. Do not harass the tenants. They're still humans. They're still people. Just go through the legal procedure to getting them evicted and getting them removed out of the tenant. Now, an alternative to an eviction is something called cash for keys. This process doesn't involve the legal process, and typically it involves simply you negotiating with the tenant to getting them out of the property. And typically what the process includes is you're gonna go in and communicate with the tenant saying, hey, listen, you haven't paid. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to move out without an eviction. I'll pay you $500 to $1,000, whatever the fee that you would have given to the attorney. Give them the money, ensuring that they sign off on the property, meaning they're gonna sign a little contract saying they're gonna leave, they're gonna go in and turn the possession over back to you, and they're gonna be gone peacefully and quietly without incurring any damage to your property. So that's another alternative way of doing it peacefully without any legal action. The benefit for this is that it's not gonna take as long versus an eviction. And also, for the tenants, it doesn't leave them in an eviction record. So it allows them to move peacefully. It's typically expedited. There's no waiting through the court system, through the legal system. And a lot of times, this could be done amicably. So a lot of times when we do a cash for keys, we'll give the tenant anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for them to move, to be gone by a certain date. And that's usually within 2 to 3 weeks. And what's nice, again, is the tenants don't have to have an eviction record on their credit and criminal background. So that's another way to do it. An alternative to the eviction, of course, if the tenants don't want to comply, don't want to work with that, then you're going to have to go and file the eviction and go through the legal procedures. So guys, I hope that this gave you some tips and also helpful information on how to properly evict a tenant when it comes to having a bad tenant or a tenant that doesn't pay rent. If you guys want to see more videos on property management as well as buying more rental properties, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as hit the bell icon so that you guys get notified. And the next video that you guys should watch is how to properly screen a tenant so that this doesn't happen to you in the future. So go ahead and click on this video right here on how to properly screen your next tenant so that you don't get in trouble like this again. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.